Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment, silent, invisible, and often unexpected, when you realize that the world around you doesn't need to change. You do. And in that moment, one thought, one shift in mindset, can ignite a life you once only dared to imagine. The greatest revolutions don't begin in the streets. They begin in the mind. The mindset that instantly changed my life wasn't about working harder. It wasn't about waiting for opportunity. It was about assuming command of one powerful truth. My thoughts are the architects of my destiny. Before everything in my life began to shift, I realized I was drifting, chasing goals I didn't choose, walking roads I didn't plan, and waking up with no sense of real direction. I was busy, but not effective. I was active, but not aligned. And then, one day I asked myself a question that changed everything. What exactly am I moving toward? That moment, I understood something fundamental. Until a person decides on a clear, definite purpose, they are like a ship without a rudder, moving, but never arriving. From that day forward, I made a decision. Not a wish, not a vague desire, but a decision carved in stone. I chose my purpose. I defined it. I gave it shape, a deadline, and a reason that stirred my soul. And as soon as I committed to it, something remarkable happening, confusion vanished. Doubt weakened. Distractions lost their grip on me. People think success is about being talented, lucky, or well-connected. But the truth is, most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they never decided what they truly wanted in the first place. They chase many things and master none. Their energy is scattered. Their time is diluted. But when you have a definite purpose, so clear that you can write it, speak it, and feel it in your bones, you become magnetic. Your thoughts, your habits, your surroundings, and even your conversations begin to reorganize around that purpose. Life stops being a guessing game and becomes a strategy. And let me tell you, the world steps aside for the one who knows where they're going. Obstacles that once seemed overwhelming begin to shrink, not because they disappear, but because your focus grows stronger than your fear. Your purpose becomes your compass, your filter, your fuel. When is definite, every no becomes part of a bigger IS. Every delay becomes training for the destination. When you define your purpose with absolute clarity and refuse to entertain anything that does not align with it, you tap into a power that most people never access in their lifetime. Your life begins to shape itself not by accident, but by design. And that is where transformation truly begins. There was a time when my emotions dictated the quality of my day, my work, and even my self-worth. If I felt good, I performed well. If I felt anxious, I hesitated. If I felt discouraged, I stopped. I allowed my emotions to hold the steering wheel of my life while I sat in the passenger seat, hoping, waiting, reacting. And then it struck me with brutal clarity I had become a servant to something I was meant to master. You see, emotions are powerful. They are the language of our inner world, and they come for a reason. But they are not supposed to control our direction. They are supposed to inform us, alert us, even motivate us, but never dominate us. Once I understood this, I began to act on a new principle. I could fear and still move forward. I could feel doubt and still speak with confidence. I could feel sadness and still get up and do what needed to be done. Because mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop surrendering. I realized that every great achievement in history was built by people who learned to discipline their emotions. The builder still felt overwhelmed. The warrior still felt fear. The speaker still felt nervous. But they moved forward anyway. Why? Because they had trained their emotions to serve their goals, not sabotage them. There is a subtle but life-changing difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is automatic, it's emotional. Responding is intentional, it's controlled. When I started to respond instead of react, my entire experience of life changed. I no longer lived in emotional chaos. I lived in conscious control. When anger rose up, I didn't explode. I paused, I studied it, and I redirected it into productive energy. When fear crept in, I didn't retreat. I used it as fuel to prepare better, to train harder, to sharpen my mind. When sadness showed up, I didn't drown in it. I sat with it, learned from it, and then kept moving. Emotions are not enemies, but they are terrible masters and excellent servants. They will tell you stories, many of which are not true. They will exaggerate, dramatize, and distort. But you must be wiser than your feelings. You must lead them, not follow them. Every day, you have two choices: be ruled by the passing storm inside you, or rise above it with the steady hand of self-command. One leads to chaos. The other leads to clarity and power. When I finally claimed authority over my emotional state, I took back something more valuable than time, more important than money. I took back my inner peace. And from that place of control, I became unshakable. No longer did I wait for the perfect feeling to take action. I acted, and the right feeling often followed. That, my friends, is real freedom to do what must be done, regardless of how the winds of emotion may blow. There was a season in my life where everything seemed to go wrong. Plans collapsed. People I trusted walked away. Doors I had knocked on for years remained shut. At the time, I called it failure. I called it unfair. But in hindsight, I now call it something else entirely. I call it the beginning of my greatest transformation. Because what looked like adversity was, in fact, life's invitation to rise. Most people run from difficulty. They resist discomfort. They see obstacles as signs to turn back, to give up, to shrink. But that mindset robs them of the very thing adversity is designed to deliver in growth: strength, clarity, and yes, opportunity. The turning point came the day I stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" From that moment, my perspective shifted. I began to see setbacks not as punishments, but as preparations. I saw delay not as denial, but as development. Every painful experience became a lesson in disguise. Every closed door forced me to find a better one. Every detour took me somewhere I was meant to go. Adversity has a strange way of stripping away the unnecessary, revealing what truly matters. It humbles you. It hardens you. It introduces you to parts of yourself you didn't know you had. The grit, the resilience, the fire. And most importantly, it tests your belief. Are you committed to the outcome or only to the convenience of the path? You see, comfort rarely creates character. Ease doesn't sharpen the edge. It is struggle that forges strength. It is resistance that builds the muscle. And adversity, when looked at correctly, is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally, because it doesn't just build you. It reveals you. The greatest men and women in history all have one thing in common: they refused to be defeated by adversity. They didn't avoid hardship. They embraced it, studied it, used it. They understood that hidden inside every hardship is a seed. And inside that seed is potential. But like any seed, it must be nurtured, believed in, and acted upon. The opportunity inside adversity is not always obvious. It often comes in silence, in solitude, in struggle. But it's always there. And those who choose to look for it, to trust that there is meaning in the pain, are the ones who rise stronger, wiser, and more equipped than ever before. Looking back now, the moments I thought were breaking me were actually making me. The rejection built my confidence. The loss taught me focus. The failure gave me direction, and the pain taught me patience. The adversity didn't end my journey. It redirected it, and the opportunity it carried with it was far greater than I ever imagined. So now, when storms come, I do not panic prepare, I watch, I listen. Because I know, somewhere within that storm, the seed is already planted, and it is my job not to curse the rain, but to learn how to grow in it. There was a time when I believed success was something rare, something unpredictable, something reserved for the lucky few who were born in the right place, within the right connections, or at the right time. I used to look at successful people and think, they must have had a break I never got. But then I began to look closer. I began to study, and what I discovered changed everything. Success wasn't lightning. When the mind is deaf and magic, it wasn't a lottery ticket. It was a pattern, a rhythm, a habit. The most successful people I observed weren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They were the most consistent. While others waited for motivation, they moved with discipline. While others talked about what they might do, they did what needed to be done. Day in, day out, often unnoticed, often without applause. That's when the truth hit Meg. Success doesn't show up all at once. It's built slowly, quietly, brick by brick. It doesn't arrive. It accumulates. It's not found in a single moment of brilliance, but in hundreds of moments of discipline when no one is watching. It lives in the early mornings, the late nights, when the extra effort, the refined focus, and the relentless repetition of small acts done well. I had to let go of the myth that I would feel ready. I had to kill the fantasy that greatness would arrive when the timing was perfect, because timing is never perfect, and no one feels ready all the time. But habits don't wait for permission. Habits don't ask how you feel. They simply run. Automatically, reliably, powerfully. I began to replace inspiration with structure. Instead of waiting for big breakthroughs, I focused on small improvements. Instead of chasing 10 things, I mastered one thing. I began to build systems around my goals, not just excitement. And in doing so, I discovered a quiet confidence, the kind that only discipline can bring. When you show up every day, regardless of how you feel, something inside you changes. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect yourself. And soon your actions start compounding. The world may not notice at first, but time always rewards the consistent. Always. What many call luck is often the result of preparation meeting persistence. It's the person who kept showing up after others quit. It's the one who practiced the fundamentals while others looked for shortcuts. It's the man or woman who decided to become excellent at the ordinary. Because when you do the small things with excellence, the big things begin to happen. Success is not a moment. It is not a single win. It is not a sudden event. It is the outcome of 1,000 deliberate choices, often made in silence, often made when no one is watching. And here's the most empowering part. If success is a habit, then it is available to anyone willing to build it. It's not about luck. It's not about genius. It's about discipline, consistency, and the courage to keep going when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's lonely. Because those are the moments that shape you. So if you want to predict your future, don't look at your dreams. Look at your daily routine. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are, and who you are will determine what you achieve. Success is not something you wait for. It's something you train for, something you become, one habit at a time. There was a period in my life when I had big dreams. I believed in possibilities. I would sit in silence and visualize success, feel it, see it, almost taste it. I was full of hope, full of vision, full of belief. But nothing was happening. The results didn't match the fire inside me. That's when I learned a hard but liberating truth. Belief alone is not enough. Faith without action is like a car with no fuel. It may look beautiful, it may be built for greatness, but it's going nowhere. Too many people live in one of two extremes. Some move constantly, taking frantic action, grinding endlessly, but deep down, they don't really believe they're going to win. They act, but there's no conviction, so their energy is scattered and weak. Others are dreamers. They believe big, they speak of vision and purpose, but they never step forward. They're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for certainty, waiting for a sign. Neither one wins. But the rare ones, the unstoppable ones, they combine the two. They believe like giants, and they move like warriors. Faith gives you the courage to begin, the resilience to continue, and the strength to stand tall when evidence seems thin. But faith alone will not build the life you want. You must move. You must build. You must step into the unknown with your belief as your shield and your work as your sword. That's when momentum begins. That's when the invisible starts becoming visible. Because when you believe something deeply and back it with relentless action, the world has no choice but to respond. I began to act before I felt fully ready. I stopped waiting for permission. I stopped waiting for things to be guaranteed. I realized that faith doesn't mean I know how every step will unfold. It means I trust that each step I take will bring me closer, even if I can't yet see the full staircase. And the most surprising thing happened. Even small steps, when fueled by unwavering belief, created powerful results. Doors that were once closed began to crack open. People I thought were out of reach started paying attention. Opportunities that seemed impossible began to form. Not because I was lucky, but because I finally aligned the inner world with the outer world. My belief and my behavior were no longer at war. They were walking together, side by side. You must understand action without faith is exhausting. Faith without action is fantasy. But when the two walk together, when you believe fully and move boldly, you become a force that circumstances cannot deny. No obstacle stands a chance against the person who says, "I will succeed," and proves it with every move they make. Every day, every choice, every effort becomes a declaration: I believe, and I am becoming. So don't just wish, don't just wait, don't just dream. Decide, move, act, and hold your vision like a torch that cannot be extinguished. Because when faith fuels your heart and action fuels your hands, the world cannot hold back what is meant for you. The mindset that changed my life wasn't bought, gifted, or taught in a classroom. It was claimed. And so I leave you with this: you can change your job, your city, your circle. But until you change your mindset, nothing truly changes. The moment you decide to think differently, you begin to live differently. Think boldly, act fiercely, believe relentlessly, and watch your world transform.